So children, we will continue this transpiration further with the structure of stomata, alright, and then after that we'll see that how this water moves through this structure of leaf. So this is showing basically the vertical section or the vertical section of the leaf. Okay, and I'll tell you how this water moves out in the process of transpiration. In the previous term we have discussed till that part, that how what type of apparatuses are used for measuring the rate of transpiration, where we have talked about the Gannon's potometer and various other types of potometers. So now let us see the structure of stomata. First of all, it is very important and it can come to draw also. So this structure of stomata, it basically consists of two guard cells. These guard cells, they contain chloroplast in them. They are filled with chloroplast, that is why they help in the process of photosynthesis. Then there is a nucleus which is present in each of these cells, and the surrounding cells which are present here, they are called as epidermal cells. So the stoma, it is surrounded by these epidermal cells. Since they are also cells, so there will be nucleus present in these epidermal cells also. So the structure of stoma, this is the open structure of stoma. Inner cells, they are thick walled, and outer cell, this is the outer thin wall. So this is actually the cell wall. It is outer layer is thinner and the inner one is thicker. So this inner thick cell wall, what happens is that it helps in when the adjoining cells, these guard cells, they get filled with water. So what basically happens is that these walls, they get stretched, and there is a force which is applied, because of which these this inner thick wall, it stretches and the stoma opens. So that helps in opening of stoma. I hope it is clear. I told you the structure of stomata, it consists of two guard cells. Okay, there's one more important thing here, that in case of dicots, dicot means here dorsiventral, so dicotyledon or monocotyledon. So there the type of stomata which is present, it is kidney shaped, whereas in case of monocots it is dumbbell shaped. I hope you all know what is the shape of a dumbbell. There is very less space. I will try to understand, make you understand. You all know, all those, specifically those who go to gym and all, they know what actually the dumbbell is. So they are dumbbell shaped, and this is the kidney shaped stomata which is present in case of dicots. So the opening and closing of stomata, that helps in this process of transpiration. We have discussed before three different types of transpiration: stomatal, cuticular and lenticular. So I will tell you how this stomatal transpiration takes place through this vertical section of leaf. So this part is clear. The stoma consists of two guard cells. This is very important characteristic of guard cells, that they contain chloroplast. This is one point, because the question comes that what is the important point of this guard cell, because if suppose this picture comes and the labelings are given, so एक important point क्या हो गया? They are chloroplast filled, and their inner wall is thicker. This is also a very specific character which you can mention, and outer wall is thin, of course. So ये inner thick wall and outer thin wall will make up one point, and presence of chloroplast will be the second point. I told you what is the significance of inner cell wall thick, that whenever the water from the adjoining cells, they get filled. So what happens, and that is because of osmosis. So naturally, when these two guard cells, they get filled with water, and why that water will come in, because you can see chloroplast present here, they will try to trap the solar energy, and when the solar energy is trapped, they will try to convert it, and then the water is also taken from the adjoining cells, which result in the opening of this stoma. And when the stoma opens, you know, there is diffusion of gases. Carbon dioxide is taken inside and oxygen is given out. So that helps in the process of photosynthesis. At the same time, from that opening of this stoma, water vapor is also lost, and that is how it results in transpiration. So I hope this is a very important structure. This is clear that structure of stoma, stomata is one and the same thing. Don't worry about it. But yes, I would like to bring to your notice one more term here, so that you don't confuse. There is one term, that is stroma, children. कभी-कभी difference भी आता है between stroma and stoma. ठीक है, तो स्टोमा क्या है? स्टोमा स्टोमेटा है. जबकि स्ट्रोमा क्या होता है, we will see this in the chapter photosynthesis also, but I am telling you here in chloroplast, this cavity where these thylakoids are present, so the space which is present here, which is filled with a fluid, so that is that matrix granular fluid which is filled here, that is called as stroma. I hope the difference between stoma and stroma is clear. Alright, now let us come to the next part, that is vertical section of the leaf. So in this vertical section of this leaf, we will understand how the stomatal transpiration occurs. Okay, so see, basically in the leaf there are the outer layer that is formed of cuticle. Okay, that is why some part of water is lost through cuticle also. Then comes upper epidermis, and just below this upper epidermis there are mesophyll cells. Now what is the important thing to be noticed here is that where is this photosynthesis, it takes place in the mesophyll cells. In these mesophyll cells, they are of two types, palisade and spongy cells. So they are arranged like that. Palisade cells, they are present towards the upper side, and spongy cells, they are present towards the little lower side, because they actually surround the bundle sheath. I have not completed here, not required, xylem and phloem vessels which are present here. So the entire bundle, vascular bundle consists of xylem and phloem. I hope you are aware of these terms. Xylem and phloem you have read in class 9th. So xylem and phloem vessels, they make up this entire bundle sheath where we call it as pericycle, which surrounds it. So it is shown that how the water has reached through the xylem vessel here, and from there what happens, whatever excess water is present there, so that excess water moves and it fills in this intercellular space. So this is the intercellular space. This is intercellular. These are intercellular spaces which are present. So this water, it is given out. They form, water vapors. They move in the form of water vapor. So they keep collecting, and in this intercellular space, they keep collecting. Slowly and gradually they combine, and then they form the bigger forms of these water vapors. So slowly they reach the substomatal space. Whereas when they reach close to the stoma, what happens, that this stoma opens because of that pressure which is being exerted here, and these cells, they become turgid, and due to which this stoma gets open and the water is given out. So that is basically the mechanism of this stomatal transpiration. I hope this part is clear. I explained you there in case of dicot leaves, there is kidney shaped these stomata present, whereas in case of monocots, the double shaped stomata, they are present. So they are different. Now the important point of the structure stomata is the differentially thickening of their walls, and also the presence of chloroplast, which is a very, very peculiar feature which helps them to helps them to go with the process of transpiration and photosynthesis. So water, when it is absorbed by the roots of the plant, it has to move up through the xylem vessels, right? But at the same time, they are exposed to these spaces, intercellular spaces from the xylem vessels, so that this water has to be given out in the atmosphere. So these cells, they get turgid, and these mesophyll cells, so mesophyll, I told you, they consist of palisade and spongy parenchyma cells. So they help in the movement of water from the surrounding, and they get collected in these intercellular spaces. From there they reach to the substomatal space. Actually, the air which is present here in this intercellular space, it gets saturated. Matlab air gets filled with the water vapor. Like these days, you can see it's so humid. So there is no air which can actually give you that feel, because the entire air, there's so much of humidity. That means air is saturated with the water vapor. So here also, this space, intercellular space, it gets saturated with water vapor, and these water vapors, they reach the from intercellular spaces, they move to the substomatal space, and then as a result, what will happen, the entire mesophyll cells, the movement of water vapors from the surface of these mesophyll cells, they come as a result of this diffusion from one cell to another cell, and then they are given out of the plant leaf. So that is called as your transpiration, and this is how it occurs in case of leaf. So cell walls, now the entire thing which is taking place inside here, the movement of this water vapor, it is taking place through diffusion. The cell walls, they are losing water due to transpiration, and most of it they are taking the water by the cell wall from the adjoining cells, and that is taking place through imbibition, through the process of imbibition. Whereas very small, very little amount of water, it enters by the process of osmosis. So I hope this mechanism of stomatal transpiration is clear to you. Now in this context, there are a few experiments given just to demonstrate how this transpiration is different. Suppose see, we take leaves. Okay, we will take two different leaves, and in this experiment we'll see that how transpiration occurs, and from the different surfaces, like from the upper surface and from the lower surface. So what we are taking here, two different leaves you can take. Also it can be done on one leaf also, so there is not much of difference. We can do it in both the ways. Either you take two different leaves, or you can take one leaf only. उसका ये upper part हो गया, ये lower part हो गया. ठीक है. अभी we have taken dry cobalt chloride paper. Cobalt chloride is CoCl2. The we have discussed about this in the first session of this transpiration chapter. Cobalt chloride paper किस कलर का होता है? Blue कलर का होता है. As soon as it comes in contact with the moisture, what will happen? It will convert from blue to pink. तो क्या हो रहा है, यहाँ पे हमने ब्लू कलर का कोबाल्ट क्लोराइड पेपर लगाया है अपर सरफेस पे. ठीक है, अपर सरफेस का मतलब हो गया डोर्सल सरफेस, और ये नीचे वाले लोअर रीजन पे, दैट इज ऑन द वेंट्रल सरफेस. ये लीफ है, ये इसका डोर्सल सरफेस है, ये इसका वेंट्रल सरफेस है. बात आ रही है समझ में? डोर्सी वेंट्रल लीफ में व्हाट वी ऑब्जर्व कि द अमाउंट ऑफ ट्रांसपिरेशन इट इज मोर ऑन वन साइड एंड लेस ऑन द अदर साइड. अब देख रहे हैं कि कौन सी जगह पे ज्यादा है और कौन सा कम है. सो ऑन द अपर साइड डोर्सल पे पेपर पिंक होगा, बट इट विल टेक सम it will take more time for this paper to get pink in color. Whereas ये जो हमने वेंट्रल सरफेस पे लगाया है, ये क्या होगा, ये जल्दी से पिंक हो जाएगा. नाउ व्हाई इज इट सो? इट प्रूव्स कि वेंट्रल सरफेस पे जो नंबर ऑफ स्टोमेटा प्रेजेंट थे वो ज्यादा थे. एंड व्हाई इज इट सो? सो दैट दिस इज अ काइंड ऑफ अडेप्टेशन. अगर ऊपर वाली सरफेस पे ये स्टोमेटा ज्यादा प्रेजेंट होगा तो ज्यादा वाटर लॉस होगा, है ना. तो ये एक अडेप्टेशन है भाई. प्लांट्स में भी इस तरीके के अडेप्टेशन है, सो दैट दे कैन प्रिवेंट दिस एक्सेसिव लॉस ऑफ वाटर फ्रॉम द प्लांट. सो दिस इज द डोर्सल सरफेस. डोर्सल सरफेस पे नंबर स्टोमेटा आर लेस. सो व्हाट is the result of this experiment? That in a dorsiventral leaf, the number of stomata which are seen more on the ventral or the lower surface shows by this experiment, because on the lower region of the leaf, the cobalt chloride paper has turned pink much faster in comparison to the paper which was placed on the डॉर्सल सरफेस ऑफ द लीफ. तो ये डॉर्सल वेंट्रल समझ में आ गया ना. डॉर्सल का मतलब हो गया ऊपर और वेंट्रल का मतलब हो गया नीचे. नीचे की तरफ लोअर सरफेस पे नंबर ऑफ स्टोमेटा दे आर मोर. इसीलिए ये जो नाम आता है मोनोकॉट. ठीक है, मोनोकॉट में ऐसा नहीं होता है. हम ये सिर्फ डाइकॉट्स में देख सकते हैं बेटा. डाइकॉट में इसलिए देख सकते हैं, इसीलिए इनका नाम भी रखा गया है डॉर्सी वेंट्रल लीव्स, क्योंकि डोर्सल सरफेस पे स्टोमेटा कम होता है और वेंट्रल सरफेस पे क्या होता है, नंबर ऑफ स्टोमेटा आर मोर. ट्रांसपिरेशन इज इनएविटेबल, बट एट द सेम टाइम क्या हो रहा है, ऑन द लोअर सरफेस वेंट्रल सरफेस स्टोमेटा आर मोर, दे विल लूज मोर वाटर. मोनोकॉट का इसीलिए नाम है आइसो बाइलेटरल. इसका मतलब क्या होता है? आइसो का मतलब सेम, बाई का मतलब दोनों, लेटरल का मतलब तरफ, साइड. आइसो बाइलेटरल. मोनोकॉट को आइसो बाइलेटरल क्यों कहते हैं? आइसो मीन्स सेम, बाई मीन्स टू, unilateral means both. So on both the sides the number of stomata are equal. इसीलिए we cannot perform this experiment on monocot leaves. We only can take dicot leaf. That is why you can see in your books also it is mentioned that this demonstration, it tells that transpiration which has been seen on the two different regions, that is different in case of dicot leaf. तो ये समझ में आ गया dicot leaf को dorsiventral leaf क्यों कहते हैं? Ventral surface पे नंबर ऑफ स्टोमेटा ज़्यादा है. ऐसे भी समझ लो, इसको बहुत ही सिंपल और एकदम गंदे तरीके से याद करने का तरीका है. डॉर्सी पूरा दिया हुआ है, डॉर्सल मतलब शॉर्ट में लिखा है, और वेंट्रल पूरा दिया है. तो पूरा दिया है मतलब लंबा दिया है, तो मतलब वहाँ पे नंबर ऑफ स्टोमेटा ज़्यादा है. डॉर्सी वेंट्रल डाइकॉट लीफ में जो नंबर ऑफ स्टोमेटा है दे आर मोर, इसीलिए ट्रांसपिरेशन फ्रॉम द लोअर सरफेस ज़्यादा होगा. इसका एक और एक्सपेरिमेंट हम लोग देखते हैं. वी हैव टेकन से 4 डिफरेंट लीव्स, ठीक है, और उसको हमने एक स्टैंड में क्लैंप कर दिया है, एडजस्ट कर दिया है, ठीक है. अब इन चारों लीफ में वी आर अप्लाइंग डिफरेंट कंडीशंस, A, B, C और D, ठीक है. चारों हमने डॉर्सी वेंट्रल लीव्स ले लिए. इसके थ्रू व्हाट वी आर गोइंग टू डिमॉन्स्ट्रेट, वी आर गोइंग टू डिमॉन्स्ट्रेट ट्रांसपिरेशन. दिस इज द एम ऑफ द एक्सपेरिमेंट. We have to determine which surface lower और upper मतलब dorsal की ventral transpires more. तो क्या कंडीशन है? जो फर्स्ट लीफ है A, इसमें हमने क्या किया है? वैसलीन लगा दी है. कहाँ लगा दिए? दोनों सरफेस पे, बोथ द सरफेस, अपर एंड लोअर, ठीक. सेकेंड वाली में कंडीशन में क्या है? वी विल अप्लाई वैसलीन ऑन द लोअर सरफेस एंड द कट एंड ऑफ द स्टॉक. यहां पे लगा दिया और लोअर सरफेस पे लगा दिया. लोअर सरफेस पे हमने क्या लगा दिया? वैसलीन लगा दिया, ठीक है. सी में क्या कर रहे हैं? अपर सरफेस इज कवर्ड विद वैसलीन. सी में अपर सरफेस पे वैसलीन लगा है, लोअर सरफेस पूरी ओपन है. और डी वाले में क्या करा है? डी वाले में we do not apply Vaseline on any part of the leaf. इसका मतलब it is simply free, मतलब no Vaseline anywhere. I hope it is clear. This experiment is to demonstrate whether which part of the leaf will transpire more. The similar thing we have seen in the previous experiment where we have taken cobalt chloride paper and we have observed on the ventral surface the number of stomata are more on the lower surface of the leaf, and that too of a dorsiventral leaf, that is dicot leaf. Here what will we see after leaving them for some time in the open? What we will see the results accordingly. Leaf A, where on both the sides Vaseline is there, what will we see? Almost negligible, मतलब there is no change. The leaf is least shriveled. B में lower surface पे लगा है, upper surface पे थोड़ा सा slight change, like, but then it is more than A. थर्ड वाले में upper surface पे Vaseline है, lower surface is open, तो obviously it is more than C, more than B but less than D, है ना. डी से कम हुआ और बी से ज्यादा हुआ. क्या? ट्रांसपिरेशन. क्यों? क्योंकि लोअर सरफेस पे वैसलीन नहीं थी, अपर सरफेस पे थी. लोअर सरफेस वेंट्रल सरफेस पे नंबर ऑफ स्टोमेटा आर मोर. अब डी में क्या होगा? डी इज ओपन फ्रॉम बोथ द साइड्स, तो जो लॉस इन वेट है दैट विल बी मैक्सिमम इन डी, देन सी, देन बी और मिनिमम होगा ए में. ये क्वेश्चन आ जाता है बेटा, व्हाट इज द एम ऑफ द एक्सपेरिमेंट, एंड अरेंज देम इन सीक्वेंस अकॉर्डिंग टू देयर लॉस ऑफ वाटर. आर यू गेटिंग इट? देन दे विल आस्क द रीजन. तो रीजनिंग हम दे सकते हैं क्योंकि हमको पता है कि यहाँ पे लोअर सरफेस कवर हुआ है, तो ये अकॉर्डिंगली यू कैन एक्सप्लेन. यहाँ पे नंबर ऑफ स्टोमेटा जहाँ ज़्यादा थे वो कवर हो गए, तो लॉस ऑफ वाटर जो था वो कम हुआ. यहाँ पे सी बी से ज़्यादा हुआ. वाई? बिकॉज upper surface covered थी, lower surface was open, number of stomata are higher on the lower surface. Whereas in case of D, where both the sides are open, so obviously the water which is transpired is higher from the D part, D leaf. So I hope this part is this experiment is clear, and the loss in weight is maximum in the leaf D. That is the result. Why? Because both the surfaces are exposed. So that is clear from this. Now we move to the next part, that is factors which affect transpiration. So for transpiration there can be external factors also and internal factors also. Internal मतलब we are talking about leaf, क्योंकि basically leaf में stomata present है, वहीं से loss हो रहा है. What is transpiration? Loss of water, loss of excess water, loss of excess water in the form of water vapor, right, from the aerial parts of the plant. That is transpiration. Loss of excess water in the form of water vapor from the aerial parts of the plant. See, there are 3-4 points which you have to keep in mind. Excess water, aerial parts in the form of water vapor. ठीक है? So that is transpiration. Now these factors they affect. So suppose we take first the internal factor, that is leaf area. So the larger the leaf area, the more it is exposed, naturally it will be more. So larger, more the area, it is equal to more transpiration. Leaf structure. If there is a presence of thick cuticle, or if there is wax present, or if there is sunken stomata present, so it all comes in the structure of the leaf. The structure of the leaf, what all things it contains. I am talking about sunken stomata. Sunken stomata का मतलब ये होता है कि स्टोमेटा के ऊपर एक कवरिंग है. कवरिंग, ये स्टोमेटा दिख रहा है, इसमें किस चीज की कवरिंग होगी? इसमें एक हेयरी स्ट्रक्चर आ जाता है. ठीक है, ये हेयरी स्ट्रक्चर जो है वो उसको हम संकन स्टोमेटा कहते हैं. ईदर इट इज अ लिटिल एम्बेडेड और इट इज कवर्ड विद अ हेयरी स्ट्रक्चर. ये जो हेयरी स्ट्रक्चर है इसको कहते हैं ट्राइकोम, राइट. सो दिस इज बेसिकली कवरिंग, मतलब उसके पाथ में हिंड्रेंस लाता है. और जाहिर सी बात है, जब दरवाजा बंद होगा तो कैसे वाटर वेपर बाहर निकल पाएगा फ्रॉम द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ द लीफ. सो लीफ स्ट्रक्चर इज ऑल्सो इम्पॉर्टेंट एज अ फैक्टर विच अफेक्ट्स ट्रांसपिरेशन. ऑफ कोर्स इट इज अ इंटरनल structure. So presence of thick cuticle, coating of wax, sunken stomata, and they all help in reducing the rate of transpiration. You can also understand these are the adaptations. ये देखो similar point हमने यहाँ पे लिखा है, sunken stomata or they are covered with hair, thick cuticle. ये सारे adaptations हैं. तो ये leaf structure में present होगा, that will affect in reducing the transpiration. Third point is water content. If the water content is less, suppose there is insufficient absorption, so water content only is less, so the transpiration is reduced. अगर water ही कम है तो reduction भी कम होगा, है ना. अगर आप intake water का absorption इतना नहीं हो पाया, then the water lost will also be less. Now let us see the external structures, how they play, how they influence in this rate of transpiration. So the first is light. ठीक है, अब लाइट जो है वो एक बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट एनवायरमेंटल फैक्टर है. ठीक है, वाई? बिकॉज इट कॉजेज द स्टोमेटा टू ओपन, एंड वेन एवर द स्टोमेटा इज ओपन, व्हाट विल हैपन? ट्रांसपिरेशन विल बी मोर. बट व्हेन इट इज क्लाउडी, अगर लाइट में मतलब फुल सनलाइट है तो ठीक है, stomata is open. But if it is a little cloudy, so in that case what will happen? There will be a partial closure and that will result in the less transpiration. Next is temperature. An increase in temperature about you can say an increase in temperature that will result in the relative humidity. अगर temperature ज़्यादा है तो humidity कम होगी. जब humidity कम होगी तो क्या होगा? आपका ट्रांसपिरेशन विल बी हायर, है ना. और ह्यूमिडिटी जब ज़्यादा होगी, ह्यूमिडिटी ऑफ द एटमॉस्फेयर, इट इज़ डायरेक्टली रिलेटेड, दिस ह्यूमिडिटी इज डायरेक्टली रिलेटेड टू यू कैन से transpiration. So if there is more humid this thing, if there is more humid environment, so in that case what will happen? The amount of transpiration will be less, क्योंकि ह्यूमिडिटी में ट्रांसपिरेशन जो होगा वो डायरेक्टली, मतलब इट अफेक्ट्स द एनवायरमेंट. दैट मीन्स इट इज द रेट ऑफ ट्रांसपिरेशन इज डायरेक्टली रिलेटेड टू द वेपर प्रेशर. सो रेट ऑफ ट्रांसपिरेशन विल बी लेस if the vapor pressure in the atmosphere is higher. Okay, so in short you can understand that humidity अगर ज़्यादा है तो transpiration कम होगा. ठीक है, it will help. What about temperature? If the temperature is high, so in that case what will happen? High temperature पे मोर होगा. और अगर बहुत हाई एक्सेसिव हो जाएगा, इन दैट केस व्हाट हैपेंस दैट द स्टोमा इट क्लोजेस. नेक्स्ट इज योर विंड. तो विंड, if wind is blowing with a high velocity, then there will be more transpiration, because it is carrying away all the what do you call water vapors with them. Okay, so and if it is excessively high, then it will close the stomata, so that will decrease the rate of transpiration. Next is atmospheric pressure. So lowering of atmospheric pressure, it will reduce the density, and the diffusion of water vapors, it will be higher. Soil water, now depending upon the soil water, there are like if sufficient water is there, so the transpiration will be higher, and if there is a decrease in the water uptake, that will result in the less transpiration. And carbon dioxide is the last point, that is increase in the carbon dioxide level outside will result in the closing of stomata, which results in the decrease of this transpiration. So higher carbon dioxide, it is higher, then the transpiration will be less. And for atmospheric pressure, if the atmospheric pressure reduces, then transpiration will be more. So lowering atmospheric pressure reduces the density of the air. जब air dense कम होगी, it will permit more and more diffusion of water. मतलब atmospheric pressure, if it is less, so naturally the density of the air will be less. Air is less dense, it is free, so it can easily take the water vapors, and the diffusion will be higher, so the transpiration will be higher. So these were the factors. Wind, I told you, dry wind will take more, and if it is humid, yeah, very high wind is there, so that in that case also it closes. Now the next is adaptations. So there are a number of adaptations which I have already discussed as an internal factor. Thick cuticle, naturally cuticle is thick, so there will be less transpiration. Loss of leaves, number of leaves are less, that helps in reducing. तो ये adaptations हैं which basically are present in the plants permanently, so that they can help the plant in losing less water. Then there are narrow leaves. So narrow leaves, example is Nerium. Okay, that so leaves का structure is narrow, so surface area is reduced, less transpiration will be there. Fewer stomata, number of stomata are less, that will help. And sunken stomata, I told you that again example is Nerium. So sunken stomata is basically, I told you, either it is depressed in the adjoining epidermal cells, or it can be covered with hair. So that is the adaptation. There is one question which I give you here, that is leaves of some plant, they wilt during midday and they recover in the evening. Okay, leaves of some plant, they dry up during the daytime, but towards the evening they recover. So why is it so? Because the transpiration is high during daytime, and towards the evening the conditions they change. As you have seen, there are a number of factors they affect. So the loss of water through transpiration, it is actually higher than the amount of water which is absorbed during the daytime, whereas it is just the reverse in the evening time. So that is the answer of this question. And a little part is left, that is significance about anti-transparence, that I will take up in your next session. I hope it is clear. Thank you, children.